In September 2024, a team of Turkish geologists descended into the exposed fissures of the dry bed of the Euphrates River with seismic recording equipment. What the microphones picked up 40 meters below the surface were not echoes of groundwater. They were voices, distorted screams, sounds that no terrestrial animal produces. One of the researchers abandoned the project 3 days later, refusing to return. He said only one thing before leaving: "It's not rocks breaking, it's them." The Euphrates River, one of the lifelines of human civilization for over 6,000 years, is dying. And as its waters disappear, something that should remain buried is being exposed. Texts written thousands of years ago, both in the Bible and in Islamic hadiths, warned of this moment. They called it a sign, a harbinger of the end. And now, for the first time in recorded history, the Euphrates has reached drought levels that scientists thought impossible. Entire villages that had been submerged for decades have re-emerged. Ruins of Assyrian palaces that no one has seen since ancient times are now accessible on foot. But along with the ruins, something else is emerging. Something that the ancient scriptures said was trapped, confined, sealed until the time came. What if what these ancient texts describe is not mythology? What if it is spiritual geology? A coded map of what is literally under our feet. 2,000 years ago, the Apostle John, exiled on the island of Patmos, had a vision that he recorded in the book of Revelation. In chapter 9, verse 14, he describes 4 angels who were bound at the great river Euphrates. These were not guardian angels. They were fallen angels, entities that rebelled and were imprisoned, waiting for the exact moment of their release. John was specific. They would be released to kill 1/3 of humanity. But what imprisons a fallen angel? According to the text, it is not physical chains. It is water, flowing water, sealing something beneath the earth. And now, that water is disappearing. Similarly, in the Islamic hadiths compiled by al-Bukhari and Muslim, there are accounts of the Prophet Muhammad warning that in the last days, the Euphrates River would recede and reveal a mountain of gold. He warned that 99 out of every 100 people who went there would die fighting for it. Most scholars have interpreted this as a metaphor for greed. But what if it isn't? What if this mountain of gold is something else? Something that shines, that attracts, but that carries a lethal curse. The scientific data does not lie. Between 2020 and 2025, the Euphrates lost more than 70% of its volume. NASA satellites confirm that the river is drying up faster than any climate model predicted. The official causes include Turkish dams, climate change, and inadequate water management. But there is one variable that no one is discussing publicly: the timing. Why now? Why just as we approach 2026, a year that multiple prophetic traditions mark as significant? Let's go back to the 2024 recordings. The Turkish team wasn't looking for paranormal phenomena. They were mapping underground cavities to prevent structural collapses in the region. But when the hydrophones were lowered into the crevices, they began to pick up anomalous frequencies. At first, they seemed like natural geological vibrations. Then, audio analysis algorithms detected patterns, repetitions, sequences that resembled vocalization. One of the audio recordings was leaked to geology forums and analyzed by bioacoustics experts. The conclusion was disturbing. The frequencies did not correspond to any known natural source. They were not winds in tunnels. They were not tectonic plate shifts. They were complex modulated sounds, almost intentional. Local witnesses report something even stranger. Shepherds who took their flocks near the dry riverbed said their animals refused to approach certain areas. Dogs barked into the void. Goats panicked for no apparent reason. And at night, residents of nearby villages swore they heard wails coming from the depths. Sounds that the elders recognized from stories told by their grandparents. Stories about the jinn imprisoned beneath the Euphrates, waiting for the day when the water would dry up. Biblical archaeology offers a critical piece of this puzzle. Archaeological sites in the Euphrates region, such as the ruins of Dura Europos and Mari, have revealed ancient inscriptions that speak of sealed doors beneath the river. Sumerian cuneiform tablets mention the prison of waters, a concept that appears repeatedly in Mesopotamian texts. The idea that flowing water can seal or imprison spiritual forces is not unique to the Bible. The Babylonians believed that rivers were thresholds between the world of the living and the underworld. The Egyptians viewed the Nile in the same way, and the Hebrews considered the Jordan and Euphrates to be sacred barriers. But there is something deeper here. The geology of the region reveals that beneath the bed of the Euphrates lie extensive networks of limestone caves, some of which have never been mapped. These caves were formed millions of years ago, but have been sealed off by river water over millennia. Now, as the river dries up, these caves are being exposed for the first time since ancient times. And what lies within them? In 2023, a team of Iraqi speleologists entered one of these newly exposed caves near the town of Al-Qaim. They found something unexpected: tool marks on the walls. Not natural marks, chisel marks. Someone at some point in history had worked these caves from the inside, and at the back of one of the chambers, they found a cornerstone block with inscriptions in ancient Aramaic. The preliminary translation read, "Sealed by the word, opened by time." What does this mean? Theologians and archaeologists are divided. Some argue that these inscriptions are simply markers of ancient tombs or shrines. Others believe we are looking at evidence of a deliberate attempt to seal something, to keep something confined. And now, the seal is broken. Let's connect the chronological dots. The prophecy of Revelation was written around 95 AD. The Islamic hadiths about the Euphrates were compiled in the 9th century AD. Both speak of the same river. Both speak of signs in the last days. And both indicate that the drying up of this river marks the beginning of catastrophic events. Historically, the Euphrates has never completely dried up, even during the worst droughts recorded in antiquity. Until now. Satellites show that vast stretches of the riverbed are completely dry for the first time in 2024 and 2025. Geologists confirm that if the trend continues, by 2026 the river could be virtually dead in multiple segments. Coincidence or fulfillment? Some argue that we are only seeing the effects of human action, poorly planned dams, and global warming. And that is a rational explanation. But what if human action is itself part of the prophetic mechanism? What if the ancient scriptures did not predict miracles, but rather inevitable processes that humanity would initiate without realizing it? Here is what we know for sure. The Euphrates is drying up. Caves are being exposed. Unexplained sounds are being recorded. Ancient inscriptions on seals and prisons are being discovered. And all of this is happening exactly in the period that multiple prophetic traditions have identified as critical. The four angels of Revelation are not just mythological figures. They represent forces, whether spiritual, geological, or something we do not yet understand. What if they were held back not by chains, but by natural barriers that are now failing? The mountain of gold in the Hadith may not be literal. It may be a metaphor for something valuable and dangerous. Lost knowledge, ancient technology, or something worse. And the warning that 99 out of 100 will die is not about greed, but about the inherent danger of unearthing what has been intentionally buried. Ancient cultures were not primitive. They understood geology, astronomy, and human psychology in ways we have only recently begun to rediscover. Their warnings were not superstition. They were science encoded in symbolic language, designed to survive millennia. And now, we are decoding those warnings too late. The river has already dried up. The caves are already open. The sounds have already been recorded. The only question that remains is, what comes next? If you think this is just coincidence, ask yourself, why did so many ancient cultures, separated by centuries and continents, all point to the same river as a critical point? Why the Euphrates specifically? Because it is not just a river, it is a lock, and the key has just been turned. To understand what may now be awakening beneath the Earth's surface, watch the next video on the magnetic anomalies detected in Mesopotamia in 2024.